Harry Dawson used to complain about Ellie Winter's puzzles. Every birthday, every Christmas, every random Tuesday she decided deserved celebrating. She refused to give him a normal gift. Instead, she'd leave riddles taped under cafe tables, clues, hidden inside library books, or folded notes tucked into the pockets of jackets she borrowed from him and conveniently forgot to return. "You know normal people just buy presents," Harry told her once. Ellie grinned. "Normal people are boring. And you? I want you to remember every gift I ever give you." He rolled his eyes. "I already remember them." She smiled. "No." She tapped the side of his head. "You remember solving them." That was Ellie. She believed memories should be earned. Harry believed she was impossible. And somewhere between arguing over crossword clues and watching sunsets from the old football bleachers, impossible became the person he loved most. They never actually called it love. They didn't need to. Everyone around them had already figured it out. Teachers stopped asking why they were always together. The librarian automatically stamped 2 books whenever Harry borrowed one. Even Ellie's mother greeted him with, "You know where the cereal is." Life quietly arranged itself around the 2 of them. One afternoon, while sitting beneath the old oak tree behind school, Ellie pulled a pocket knife from her backpack. Harry raised an eyebrow. "Should I be worried?" "Probably." She knelt beside the tree and carved a tiny crooked heart into the bark. Inside it, she scratched 2 initials. H. Plus. E. Harry laughed. "That heart is terrible. It's unique. It looks injured. It has personality." She leaned back to admire it. "If this tree is still standing when we're old, we'll come back and laugh at how bad I was at carving." Harry looked at her. "You've already decided we're growing old together?" Ellie didn't answer immediately. Instead, she smiled at the tree. "I like planning for happy endings." It should have been an ordinary memory. Instead, it became the one Harry replayed the most. Because a week later, Ellie started changing. At first it was small things. She stopped wearing headphones on the walk home. She looked over her shoulder more often. She avoided empty hallways. Twice, Harry caught her staring through classroom windows. Before leaving, as if checking whether someone was outside. "You're acting weird," he said one afternoon. "I'm acting careful." "About what?" She hesitated, then smiled. Nothing important. Harry wasn't convinced, neither was she. The following Thursday, they left the library together. As they crossed the parking lot, Ellie suddenly grabbed Harry's arm. "Hard enough to stop him." "What?" She nodded toward the far sidewalk. A man stood beneath a streetlight. Dark jacket, hands in his pockets. Watching the school, Harry looked for only a second. The man turned and walked away. "Do you know him?" Harry asked. Ellie looked down. "No." "You answered too quickly." She forced a laugh. "I'm probably imagining things." But that night she texted him. "Promise me something." Harry smiled. "Depends." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally. "If I ever disappear, don't let people decide the ending for me." Harry frowned. "You're not disappearing." Several minutes passed before her reply came. "You always answer the easy part." He planned to ask her about it the next morning. He never got the chance. Because Ellie Winter never came to school again. The first few days, everyone assumed she was sick. By Monday, police cars were outside her house. By Wednesday, search teams were combing nearby woods. By Friday, her face covered every notice board in town. Weeks turned into months. Rumors replaced facts. Some people said she'd run away. Others claimed she'd been kidnapped. Eventually, people stopped talking about her altogether. Harry never did. 8 months later, on the anniversary of her disappearance, he found a brown envelope outside his front door. No stamp, no address, just 2 words. Harry Dawson, written in Ellie's unmistakable handwriting. His hand shook as he opened it. Inside was a photograph of the old oak tree behind school. On the back were 6 words. You always looked too quickly. Below that, 6:30 tonight. Harry spent the entire day convincing himself it was fake. At 6:10 he drove to the school anyway. The grounds were empty. The oak tree stood exactly where it always had. He found their carved initials within minutes. The bark had grown around the crooked heart. Inside the crack where the carving had widened with age was a tiny metal capsule. Inside the capsule, a brass key and another note. Good, you still remembered us. 4 more puzzles. Don't tell anyone. Someone is still looking for me. Harry's pulse quickened. Ellie had planned this. Somehow. The second clue led him to the school library. Ellie had always hidden notes inside books no one borrowed. He searched the poetry shelves for almost an hour before remembering something she'd once said. The best hiding place is where people stop looking halfway. He pulled out an old poetry collection. A folded page slipped onto the floor. Inside was a train ticket. Unused, destination covered by black ink. Only one sentence remained visible. The person following me wasn't the one I feared. Harry read it again. If the man in the dark jacket wasn't the danger, then who was? The third puzzle took him to the abandoned cinema where they had watched terrible horror movies every summer. Taped beneath the last row of seats was an old photograph. It showed Ellie laughing outside school. Behind her stood the man in the dark jacket, but farther back, barely visible in the reflection of a parked car, was someone else. Someone watching both of them. On the back, Ellie had written, "Find the person nobody notices." Harry enlarged the reflection on his laptop until the image blurred. Then, suddenly, he recognized him. Vice Principal Daniel Vale. The man every student trusted. The man who had organized the volunteer search after Ellie disappeared. The man who had cried during the school assembly. Harry's stomach turned. The fourth puzzle arrived before he could process the third. Someone slipped another envelope through his apartment mail slot. Inside was a small silver key and a sentence. The truth is under the stage. That night, Harry broke into the school auditorium. After nearly an hour of searching, he found a loose floorboard beneath center stage. Hidden below it sat a rusted metal box. Inside were photographs, financial records, student complaints, signed statements, documents connecting Daniel Vale to years of quietly covering up misconduct involving influential families whose children attended the school. At the bottom lay a final letter. Harry unfolded it carefully. If you're reading this, then you solved the hardest part. Adrian helped me disappear before Vale realized what I'd found. I couldn't go to the police because he had friends there. If I stayed, nobody would have believed me. If I left suddenly, everyone would ask questions. So I let them believe I vanished. I'm sorry I made you carry this, but I knew you wouldn't stop looking. Harry wiped at his eyes before he even realized he was crying. There was one last clue. A coastal address. No explanation. Only, come alone. The journey took 6 hours. The address led to a tiny second-hand bookshop overlooking the sea. The bell above the door rang softly. A girl looked up from behind the counter. Her hair was shorter, her face a little older, but her smile. Harry would have recognized it anywhere. Ellie Winter. For several seconds, neither of them moved. Then Harry crossed the room and pulled her into the tightest embrace of his life. "You idiot," he whispered. "You scared me to death." Ellie buried her face against his shoulder. "I know. You should have trusted me. I was trying to save you." They stood there in silence until Harry finally stepped back. "So," he said quietly, "it's over." Ellie looked toward the rain-covered window. "I wish it was." Harry followed her gaze. Across the street, a familiar dark jacket stood beneath a streetlight, watching the bookshop. watching them. Ellie's fingers tightened around Harry's hand. "I solved every puzzle," Harry whispered. Ellie nodded slowly. "That wasn't the final one." Harry looked at her. "What is?" She swallowed. "Getting us both home alive."